Am I audible and visible to all? Sakshi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yeah. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining on a holiday, and that too on a holy. So, I welcome every one of you. So, I'll start by giving a short introduction about myself, like what I have done in the past, what I am doing it, how I got into the product role. So, I'm basically from Jodhpur. Then I have done engineering, like every most of the people do. Then I did my MBA because after engineering I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. Then I did my masters in IT and marketing. Post which I got into a sales role, which was my campus placement, but like most of the people, I didn't wanted to do sales. Then by luck, I just kept on applying and I got into the product role. So earlier I was working in the product role at Sysdom. I largely used to handle mutual fund and insurance. Now I work with free charge. So I'm into the credit domain. I handle the lending part over there. Right now I'm leading a feature called no cost EMI. So this is a brief introduction about myself. Now, how many of you uh, so I'll explain you the format. I understand that you have a lot of queries, and the mostly your queries would be related to how do we get into the product, and how is the technical product management different from the product other product management, and what all skills should we have. So I have specifically kept 2-3 slides of my PPT for that. So we'll cover that at very last. But before that, I just wanted you to understand what exactly is the product management, what all cover into it. So the basic agenda is key. I'll take all your queries at the end. I've specifically allocated 15-20 minutes to take all your queries. Then what else we can, and I'll take you slide by slide. So are we good to go? So I'll just start sharing my screen. So before that, I wanted to know how many of you are already into the product domain, like whether have you done any kind of internship, or whether are you working in the product role? Is any of you currently in the product domain? You can reply on the chat, like if uh, if any of you is into the. Okay, so how many of you want to get into the product? Like, how many of you are interested into the product? Product is the new hot skill. Like, I know many of my friends want to get into the product, and in the fintech, especially in the fintech में सबको जाना है. Fintech is the new like buzzword. So, how many of you want to get into the product domain? Manas, do you want to get Mugdha, Prakhar, Rajesh, Nawaz? What about you? ठीक है. So I have made one PPT for it. So I know most of you would want to. तो मैं PPT से चालू करती हूँ. एक सेकेंड हाँ. Just a minute. Just give me 1 minute. I'll rejoin it.
Yes, ma'am, I have made you the co-host.
Yeah, so am I audible? Yeah, so I'll just start with telling what is actually product management, hota kya hai actually, and more importantly, when you get a product manager job, what is expected out of you, like what all things will you be handling. So basically, a product management means taking end-to-end control of the feature, like feature कौन सा फीचर होगा, उसमें क्या जाएगा, क्या कम्युनिकेशन जाएगा, ऐप पर कम्युनिकेशन क्या जाएगा, ऐप पर क्या कंटेंट जाएगा, then what would be the flow of the feature, then आपको क्या metrics track करने हैं, मतलब see everything in this, in every organization there is only one funda कि भाई you have to increase the business. मतलब app पर whatever we are doing, the purpose is same, that we have to increase the business of the firm that we are working on. ठीक है, तो that is the basic agenda, and the product team has to always be inclined to that. Like there has to be a very strong inclination of what I want to, what the product is doing has to be in sync with the business. So as a product management, you have to take the end-to-end control of the feature, like right from the ideation to the time it is being implemented and how the feature is performing post the implementation. So you are the ownership of that. So the very first thing that you have to do, the pipeline, you have to create the pipeline of the features. So when I say pipeline of the features, I mean key as a product manager, I have to create a roadmap for my quarter or the next quarter, key which all features would be going live on the app, key app which all features I'll be taking control of. Like suppose I work in the mutual fund, so I have to take control of कि मेरे नेक्स्ट कौन से म्यूचुअल फंड्स जाएंगे, कौन से म्यूचुअल फंड अभी ज्यादा डिमांड में है, व्हाट कॉम्पिटिटर्स आर डूइंग, मेरा रेवेन्यू किस में ज्यादा है, ऑब्वियसली रेवेन्यू इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, बिजनेस की क्या डिमांड है, एंड इफ आई एम वर्किंग ऑन टू फीचर, सपोज से म्यूचुअल फंड एंड इंश्योरेंस, देन प्रायोरिटी क्या है, डिमांड किसका ज्यादा है, व्हाट इज बिजनेस ट्राइंग टू से, सीईओ क्या करना चाहता है, हम अपनी कंपनी को किस तरीके से फ्रेम कर रहे हैं. So that entire pipeline has been decided by a product manager कि कौन सा फीचर जाएगा, कब जाएगा, एंड ऑल्सो पर्टिकुलर फीचर इज डिवाइडेड इनटू वर्जन्स. लाइक अ फीचर कैन बी वेरी लॉन्ग, मतलब उसमें बहुत चीजें कर सकते हैं हम, लेकिन हम सोचते हैं कि वी कैन नॉट वेट दैट लॉन्ग, तो हम पार्ट्स में जाते हैं कि वर्जन 1 में हम ये करेंगे, वर्जन 2 में हम ये करेंगे, वर्जन 3 में हम ये करेंगे. सो व्हेन आई सी क्रिएटिंग पाइपलाइन, इट इज बेसिकली मीन्स कि विच ऑल फीचर्स आर गोइंग हैज टू बी इन सिंक विद द बिजनेस. ठीक है. The second is the customer pain point. Like most of the products fail because we fail to provide what customers are looking for. Like suppose I say कि मुझे म्यूचुअल फंड्स चाहिए, लेकिन मुझे पता नहीं कि मुझे कौन से म्यूचुअल फंड चाहिए, बट अगर मेरी कंपनी मुझे बता, आपको कोई कंपनी बता दे कि विच ऑल म्यूचुअल फंड्स आर गुड फॉर यू, देन ऑब्वियसली यू विल परचेज, बिकॉज आई डू नॉट हैव दैट फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी टू डिसाइड फॉर माई सेल्फ. So the very important thing very firstly is to decide the customer pain points, like कि customers को कहाँ problem आ रही है और हम उस problem को solve कैसे करेंगे. Before deciding a feature, we have to coordinate with various stakeholders, and obviously customer is one of that stakeholders. We have to identify, operation team से बात करनी पड़ती है कि आपको किस चीज के लिए complaint आ रही है, like what matlab, which all complaints are you facing, and then you have to talk to the research team ki what do you think is demand, then you have to conduct the research, both secondary as well as primary, to decide ki what actually the customers are looking for, what, because ऐसा होता है ना कि as a product manager you may think very differently from a customer. So research, and you may have your own biases, कि हर किसी के अपने biases होते हैं, which a product manager tries to implement in the product. So I think that should not be done. So by having a proper customer research, market research, customer pain points we have to identify the pain points of the customers, and then we have to think about how can we solve the how that pain points can be handled. So when I say कि वो pain points कैसे handle होंगी, मतलब मेरा feature कैसा होगा कि it is easy to use as well as it is solving the problems that are being faced by the customers. Then okay, so a product management talks to a lot of person. Like one is the customer, second is the business. Business may include the CEO or the head of the vertical that you are heading. Like suppose I'm handling credit over here, then I have from the business side. When I say business, उसका मतलब होता है who is responsible for the numbers. मतलब कि मेरा टारगेट है कि मुझे इस क्वार्टर में इतना अचीव करना है. So then I have to मतलब मेरे को प्रोडक्ट इस तरीके से बनाना पड़ेगा कि दैट नंबर कैन बी अचीव्ड, या मेरी प्रायोरिटीज क्या है, बिजनेस की प्रायोरिटीज क्या है. सो वन इज द बिजनेस टीम. देन थर्डली यू हैव टू कोऑर्डिनेट विद द टेक टीम. टेक टीम में भी दो होते हैं, एक जो आपकी डिजाइन बना रहा है वो, एक होता है जो कोडिंग लिख रहा है. सो जो डिजाइन बना रहा है दैट इज द फ्रंट एंड, मतलब जो दिखेगा जो आपको, वो सब कुछ फ्रंट एंड इंजीनियर डिजाइन करेगा, और उसके पीछे जो भी कोडिंग चल रही है वो हमारा बैक एंड इंजीनियर डिजाइन करेगा. Then you have to coordinate with the testing team, you have to coordinate with the design team, you have to coordinate with the data team. So you have to ensure that everyone is on the same page. मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि your tech team is thinking of something else, कि भाई हमारे दिमाग में पिक्चर क्लियर नहीं है, and your design team is thinking on the different page. So you have to be in sync with, everyone has to be in sync with each other. Okay. The next point is identifying the key metrics. So when I say key metrics, what does it mean? So एक feature है, ठीक है, obviously उसका एक काम तो है कि you have to grow the business. Like suppose I'm handling mutual fund and I'm launching a mutual fund product, so it has to grow the mutual fund number. Then मेरे और भी metrics हो सकते हैं कि जो मैंने म्यूचुअल फंड लॉन्च किया मेरा उसका मार्केट शेयर क्या है, लाइक वेदर आई एम एबल टू टेक कंट्रोल ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर मार्केट शेयर और नॉट. देन दैट इज वन थिंग. देन मेरे ड्रॉप्स का हो रहे हैं कि कितने कस्टमर्स ने जर्नी चालू करी, मतलब उन्होंने फीचर को देखा लेकिन एंड पेज तक नहीं गए, पेमेंट नहीं करा उन लोगों ने, या फीचर परचेज नहीं करा. तो ये सारी मैट्रिक्स ट्रैक करनी होती है, एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट क्रूशियल पार्ट. लाइक ये सबसे ज्यादा क्रूशियल है एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर के लिए कि करेक्ट की मैट्रिक्स डिसाइड करना. एंड ऑब्वियसली इसके अंदर टू जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लोग होंगे विच वुड हैव अ स्टेक इन इट, वन वुड बी द बिजनेस टीम एंड वन वुड बी द डेटा टीम, क्योंकि डेटा आपको नंबर्स लाके देगा, एंड बिजनेस नंबर्स मतलब दे हैव अ डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट, क्योंकि उनको धंधा बढ़ाना है, ऑब्वियसली दे हैव टू इंक्रीज द रेवेन्यू. And the secondly you have to check the performance of the feature, like matlab whether people are liking the feature or not, people appreciate it or not, people ka response kya hai, is it easy to use or not, is it solving the problem of the customer. journey ऐसा नहीं है कि एक स्क्रीन से दूसरी स्क्रीन तक जा नहीं पा रही है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. there has to be a smooth flow, इजी टू यूज होना चाहिए, जो आपने कंटेंट लिखा है वो यूजर को समझ में आना चाहिए. सो यू हैव टू ट्रैक एवरीथिंग. दिस इज पोस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. एक बार अगर फीचर ऐप पर चला गया देन यू हैव टू ट्रैक दैट. सो this was the first slide where I had talked about कि product management क्या होता है, what मतलब इसके अंदर broadly responsibilities क्या होती हैं. The second slide that I'll be covering of a product life cycle. So when I say product life cycle, it actually means a feature life cycle. कि suppose I'll take an example कि मुझे एक म्यूचुअल फंड्स का नया प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करना है, तो वो कौन सी फेजेस से जाएगा. सो मतलब हियर आई सबसे पहला फेज होगा आइडेशन फेज. मैंने बोल दिया कि भाई मेरे को तो म्यूचुअल फंड लॉन्च करना है, लेकिन इसके अंदर होगा ये म्यूचुअल फंड लॉन्च क्यों करना है, इसके अंदर आर यू स्पेसिफिकली सॉल्विंग एनी ऑफ द क्वेरीज ऑफ द कस्टमर्स यू आर हैंडलिंग टू. क्या मतलब कस्टमर्स अभी हम मार्केट में ऐसा क्या दे सकते हैं जो अभी प्रेजेंट नहीं है, व्हाट कॉम्पिटिटर्स आर गिविंग. तो दिस कम्स इन द आइडेशन पार्ट कि what are we going to go with and what purpose will it be solving. So this is the very first part, that is the ideation. द सेकेंड पार्ट वुड बी द डिटेलिंग. अब मैंने सोच लिया कि मुझे XYZ म्यूचुअल फंड के साथ जाना है, लेकिन हम उस म्यूचुअल फंड में कौन कौन से फंड्स दिखाएंगे, यूजर की जर्नी क्या होगी, हम म्यूचुअल फंड की क्या इंफॉर्मेशन देंगे, कितनी स्क्रीन होगी, यूजर जर्नी क्या होगी, हम यूजर को बताएंगे कैसे कि हम ये म्यूचुअल फंड्स के साथ जा रहे हैं. सो दीज ऑल कम्स इन द डिटेलिंग कि एंड टू एंड फ्लो क्या होगा उसका, and what specifically things we'll be covering. So अब यहाँ तक स्टेज 1 एंड स्टेज 2 सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं, बिकॉज इसकी इंटायर डिपेंडेंसी सिर्फ प्रोडक्ट टीम के ऊपर होती है कि क्या जाएगा और कैसे जाएगा, ये सिर्फ प्रोडक्ट टीम डिसाइड करती है. नाउ कम्स द डेवलपमेंट पार्ट. भाई प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर्स को डेवलप करना नहीं आता, ऑब्वियसली देयर हैज टू बी अ टेक टीम जिससे आप डेवलपमेंट करवाओगे. there has to be there has to be a testing guy who will be finally testing your product. So then comes to the development. तो इसका सबसे पहला होता है भाई, आप टेक टीम को, व्हेन आई टेक टीम आई मीन द डेवलपमेंट टीम, उनको समझाओ कि भाई आप एक्चुअली क्या डेवलप करवाना चाहते हो, आप एक्चुअली क्या, what actually are you looking forward to. मतलब इसका एक तरीका होता है कि भाई उनको वायर फ्रेम बना के दे दो कि ये दिस इज द प्रोटोटाइप दैट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर एंड दिस यू हैव टू बी, बट इट्स नॉट दैट सिंपल. मतलब देन उनको बहुत प्रॉब्लम आएगी कि ये टेक्निकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सपोर्ट नहीं करता है, पहले कोई और पेज था, क्या हम वो यूज कर ले, कैन वी गो अहेड विद दैट और नॉट, कैन वी क्रिएट ये जो हमारे बाकी म्यूचुअल फंड्स है उसकी जर्नी के साथ ये मैच नहीं करता है, क्या हम स्क्रीन से छोटी कर सकते हैं. सो देयर वुड बी several things, and it's not very easy to develop because एक front end एक there has to be coordination between जो आप दिखाना चाहते हो और जो उसके पीछे कोड लिखेगा. वो कुछ चीजें हमारी टेक्निकल सपोर्ट नहीं करती, कुछ हमारी ऐप सपोर्ट नहीं करती, कुछ ऐप सपोर्ट करेगी तो वो एंड्रॉइड में चला जाएगा, iOS में नहीं जाएगा या वेबव्यू में नहीं जाएगा. तो इस टाइम में यू हैव टू बी इन टोटल, मतलब कोई प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन टेक्निकल टीम नहीं निकालेगी, वो आपको लाके बोल देगी कि भाई ये हमारी प्रॉब्लम है, बताओ क्या करना है. देन यू आर द वन जो आप उनको बताओगे कि दिस इज द सॉल्यूशन, दिस इज व्हाट यू आर लुकिंग फॉर और दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम स्टेट, ये ऐसे हो सकता है. फिर देन आपको पूछना पड़ेगा कि भाई मैं ये सोच रही हूँ, अब बताओ कि ये टेक्निकली पॉसिबल है या नहीं है. वो बोलेगा कि नहीं ये भी नहीं हो सकता. देन यू विल अगेन थिंक अबाउट कि क्या करना है. तो this is one thing. Then it would be the testing कि भाई फीचर जैसा चल रहा है वैसा ठीक है या नहीं है, वैसा मतलब द फ्लो इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम, जो आपने प्रोटोटाइप दिया उसके अकॉर्डिंग है या नहीं है, कोई बग्स तो नहीं है. हमने बोला कि हमने जब बताया टेस्टिंग टीम को, जब हमने बताया कि स्क्रीन ए से स्क्रीन बी होना चाहिए, लेकिन जब हमारे पास आया जब स्क्रीन ए से स्क्रीन सी जा रहा है, सीटी क्लिक करने पे, मतलब नेक्स्ट बटन क्लिक करने पे वो कोई और ही पेज पे जा रहा है, सारे यूज केसेस कवर नहीं है. तो इस स्टेज के अंदर हम वो सारी चीजें देखते हैं. ट्रैकिंग, अब भाई फीचर बन गया है, वो ऐप पर लाइव जा चुका है, सब बढ़िया है. नाउ हमें देखना है कि भाई फीचर परफॉर्म कैसा कर रहा है. कस्टम मतलब जैसे 100 लोगों ने पहले स्क्रीन पर लाइक किया, लेकिन 5 लोग ही भाई मेरा प्रोडक्ट खरीद रहे, मतलब जो 100 लोगों ने चालू करा उसमें से 5 लोग मेरा प्रोडक्ट खरीद रहे, मतलब इट्स अ बहुत कम कन्वर्जन रेशियो है. सो हियर वी हैव टू चेक वेदर कि भाई कौन सी स्क्रीन अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं करी, जो कौन सी मिडिल स्क्रीन है जहाँ पे यूजर्स ड्रॉप कर रहे हैं. सो वी हैव टू टेक दैट एवरीथिंग इनटू द अकाउंट. So this is the entire product life cycle. The first stage is the ideation, then detailing, then development, fourth is the testing, and last is the tracking the performance. Out of which the 3 most stages for a product manager are ideation, detailing, and the tracking. So ये 3 सबसे important है. Then next I'll start with the day-to-day life of a product manager. भाई सबको प्रोडक्ट में जाना है, everyone wants to get into the product, but you should know ना कि आप करोगे क्या भाई, what is going to be your job role, आप ज्वाइन करके करोगे क्या. So the पहला थिंग आप करोगे स्ट्रेटेजाइजिंग एंड द रोड मैपिंग. अगर कोई आपको कंपनी ऑफर दे रही है ना, वो बोले कि हम भाई आपका कोई रोल नहीं होगा स्ट्रेटेजाइज या रोड मैप करने में, हम आपको बताएंगे कि क्या करना है, आप बस करोगे, तो भाई वो जॉब ऑफर मना कर देना, बिकॉज दिस इज द मोस्ट क्रूशियल चीज जो स्ट्रेटेजाइजिंग एंड रोड मैपिंग। इधर आपको कस्टमर पर्सपेक्टिव से सोचना होता है। मतलब मैं आपको बोलती हूँ, एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर तभी सक्सेसफुल हो सकता है जब उसका कस्टमर माइंडसेट हो, जब वो कस्टमर के अपने आप को कस्टमर की जगह रखे और सोचे कि भाई मैं क्या लाना चाहता हूँ, मुझे क्या दिक्कत है, जो मुझे दिक्कत है क्या वो सबकी दिक्कत है। मैं, इफ यू कैन नॉट कीप योरसेल्फ एज द कस्टमर hat on shoes, then you can never be a good product manager. So this is the first thing. So पहला पहला काम होता है कि भाई नई नई प्रॉब्लम्स को आइडेंटिफाई करना ऐप के अंदर, कि भाई ये अच्छा नहीं परफॉर्म कर रहा है, इसकी जर्नी अच्छी नहीं है। आजकल तो कोरोना की वजह से सबको लोन्स बहुत चाहिए भाई, तो हमें लोन्स लॉन्च करना चाहिए भाई, सबका पे कट हुआ है, सबकी जॉब्स चाहिए, आजकल सबको लोन्स की बहुत जरूरत है। तो यू हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट कि कोरोना ने भाई सबका हाल खराब कर दिया है, तो ये हमें लोन्स लाना चाहिए। बट अब कोरोना तो 2 साल में खत्म हो जाएगा, तो हमें हमारा फ्यूचर अभी कुछ महीनों में लाना पड़ेगा, ताकि वो 2 साल में that feature can be used. So that is the one thing that you have to take care of. Then putting forward the requirement. So here your job is कि you are clear कि आपको क्या करना है, but at the very same time you have to explain to the users that what you actually want to do. कि you have to explain कि what are you trying to achieve. Uh, I'm sorry. I'll try to keep it in English. I'm sorry for that. So the next thing is to explain what exactly are the requirements. So here the very first thing that you have to do is to understand your users, like what exactly your users are trying, what, who will be your target audience. Like if you are creating a feature, then who exactly would be using it, because so that you can create a feature that is suppose she told me that I am speaking in Hindi, but my target audience is the one who cannot understand Hindi. So it means there is a product market in fetch. Matlab, what I am trying to offer that my customers are not looking forward to. So that is one thing that has not to be there. Then secondly, you have to make it very clear. You have to your understanding has to be put out very clearly, like what would be the time frame in which we are looking to launch the product, what is that, what are the metrics that we are trying to achieve, how the flow would look like, what exactly are the data points that we are covering, what exactly what are we covering in this particular version, what we'll be covering in the next version. So these everything we have to do it on a daily basis. The next is uh, the next is the data analysis. So when I say data analysis, it means that you look at the numbers. So every day a certain number of users come on your app and use your app, and out of the app certain products are used more, certain features are used more, and certain features do not perform very well. So here you have to see the features that are performing well, why are they performing well, and the features which are not performing well, why are they not performing well, so that you can implement the things which are used in that feature of the features who are implementing well. You can implement those in the things that do not implement well. So there is data analysis, and in a particular feature some screen may be very good, but you don't know what technical glitches your customers are facing, what are the various issues they are facing. They may not like the screen. I may think that I have made the screen very well, like it looks very appealing to me, but the customers may not find that. Ultimately what you think doesn't matter, how does your customer respond to you, that is only the thing that matters to you. So that is the data analysis. Then the next part is the stakeholder management. So stakeholder management is also a very crucial thing, because as a product manager you have to ensure that each of your team members is on the same page, like what you are trying to implement or what you are trying to say or what are your requirement is very clear to the design team. First is the design team. So because design team would actually be making the prototype, So when I say the prototype, what does it mean? How the feature is going to look on your app, what would be the flow like suppose I want to go ahead with a mutual fund, the journey of it, the designing part of it, the content, the icons that you will be used, the images will you use. So design team has to be very clear. Then the data teams come has to do the data analysis, so it has to be very clear of what this feature is trying to achieve, what are the various metrics that needs to be tracked. Then the technical team, this is the most crucial part, because technical people do not understand the business, do not understand the product. You just they do what you say to them. So it is very important to clearly communicate. Then the stand-ups. So almost 30 to 40% of the time of me goes in the stand-ups. So I may be working on the 5 different features. So what does a stand-up consist of? A stand-up is nothing but a sprint where a person from the product comes. Like if I'm the product manager, I'll come, then a person from the design team comes, a person from the data teams come, a back-end guy, a front-end guy, a tester, everyone comes into it. And they see like they discuss their problems, or they discuss how the feature is performing, or where are we progressing, will we be able to meet our timelines or not. If not, what are the reasons, what are the blockers we are facing. suppose uh, um, Suppose a backend guy is not available for few days, that's why our feature is stopped. Then this issue would be raised, another backend guy would be arranged for that. So this is one of the things that we do daily, that is the daily. So does anyone have a questions, or should I change any format? Does anyone want to give any suggestions? You can put those in the comments. Like if you're liking it, you're not liking it. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? So I'll take a 2 minute break. So you can write your comments, and I'll be happy to address those. Are you able to? Is everyone of you able to understand what I'm saying? Now have um, okay, okay, okay. Okay, so I'll move forward. Still, I'll just wait for 1 more minute to see if there are any suggestions. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so I'll start with the useful tools. So before that, so we use various tools on a day-to-day basis, so that so that it's easy for us. Not everything can be done from pen on paper, so we use tools for doing it. So the very first tool that we use for wireframing is Parsonic. So before that, I would like to tell you what exactly is the wireframing. So as a product manager, we cannot make exactly what the design would look like. We cannot make that fancy part, we cannot make the flow, but we can make a rough diagram. So जैसे whenever we do an assignment, then there is a draft first, then there is a draft second, then there is a draft third. So design team would do the draft 2 and draft 3. Like they'll be taking care of how exactly would we do. But as a product manager, we have to tell them ki, see, this is what we are expecting, this is what we are looking for. So so suppose this is the screen. So this is very simple, like this is a very simple type of screen, but this we cannot show it to the user, because then this would look like a 2010 or 1990s screen. Now everyone wants a cred like fancy screen, but this we can give it to the design team so that they can make a fancier version of it. What we give them is basically a draft. So one of the very useful tool is the Balsamic. uh, if any one of you have an interest in the product management and would like to connect, I can give them a workshop, not workshop, a free workshop, where we can work together on a product. Like we can, what do you think, what can be done, what are the, how the wireframing actually work, we can do that. I'll share my details after that if you would like to connect. So after this session, So what the balsamic is used for? It is used for creating the prototypes. So what do prototypes mean by? Not exactly how my feature is going to look, but a rough idea of it. Ki, on a broader level, this is what I want, and this you should be creating it. So this is usually used by the product team. Now, what is its use? So here the use is to give an idea to the design team ki what is expected, what are we trying to look for, or what exactly are we trying to cover in the feature. Ki bhai, how it should, because as a, what is the use we giving a wireframe to the design team is that it should not happen that our design team works on a feature for 7 8 days or 2 weeks and they come up with totally something very different which was not expected. So this would be a waste of bandwidth and time for both the product team as well as the design team. And on a broader level, what this will do is this will shift our timelines. Suppose we assume ki on 15th of April we'll be going live. When I say going live, what do I mean? Ki my feature would be there in my app. The feature that I am trying to build, वो मेरी app के अंदर would be there. Like the feature would be a part of my app. But because the design team was not able to understand that what we are looking for, they could not do anything. They could not do or they did something wrong in the 2 weeks, and so my feature got delayed. So this would be then the next thing would be how matlab, you would be thinking ki as a product management wireframe would be something very technical in nature and it would require a lot of efforts. But ऐसा नहीं होता. Suppose this is the feature that I am trying to build. What I can do is I can this would everything would be a library would be there and you can simply drag and drop. Like this entire thing would be created. You simply have to drag and drop and you have to put it here. And you have to change the size according to what you're looking for. So this is one of the things. So this is very simple to use because this is a simple drag and drop method and it has a very large library. It has a lot of icons so that you don't have to prepare anything by yourself. So this is one of the thing. Uh, then it has a very clean interface. It's very simple to use. That's why this tool is so there are various wireframing tools that are available, but out of every tool that I have used, Balsamic is my favorite because it's very simple to use. It's a it's very simple to use and it's very easy to follow. So the next feature that I'll be talking about is Zira. So here in the COVID times, each one of us is working from their own home. So it's not possible ki yeah, I go and every time ask him ki what is the status of it, what is the status of the design, what is the status of the wireframe, what is the status of the document you are working on. So basically, this is a project management tool where each one of us updates the status. So how does it work? Suppose I am working on a ABC mutual fund. So there would be a broad project called ABC APC mutual fund. उसके अंदर there would be subcategories. One would be the product part like the PRD user journey or data met. Then there would be the data part. Ki what are the data metrics that has to be tracked? How the front end tracking would work, how the back end tracking would work. So that would be the another part. Then there would be the design team. Suppose the design has given a timelines of 2 weeks, then they will update the start date key, when am I starting the feature and when it is going to live. So for that particular feature there would be a mota entire repository with the status of it. Suppose I have completed my ideation part, like the document and everything. Um, Answering to the question that is put on the chat, you can log in it from. It is usually not a open. It is an open source, but I think you have to log in it from your office ID. Like it has to have that. I'm not sure about it, but as far as everyone can use it, I have a dummy account. After that, after that I have a dummy account, so I can give you the details and you can use it. So yeah, so I'll show you how does it work. Uh, so here all the projects are status and here you can see the entire timelines, entire how how the feature is progressing. Like when is the addition part completed? When is the design going to start? Here, what are the blockers? If there are any blockers. So suppose I and Prakhar are working on a project, and now I require some very important document which is extremely crucial to me, but Prakhar is on leave. Some emergency happened in his family. Not emergency, some celebration happened in his family. I should not say emergency. Some celebration happened, and he's not available. What do I do? Where do I look for that document? I cannot wait for 2-3 days just for that documentation. So what ideally we do is we dump all the documents here, so that I do not have any dependency on anyone for any documents or anything. So suppose from Rajesh, I want to know the status. No, now I do not have to call the Rajesh to ask what is the status of that particular feature. He'll simply update it on the Zira. This is the status right now. It is in the. I have not started working on it. 3 days after, I'll start working on it, and I think it would be completed in 4 or 5 days. So this is how the status is. So basically, you can track the end-to-end journey. You can create a task. Suppose Aryan is the design guy. Now he has completed the design, but a design cannot go live or cannot be approved till the time a product guy approves it. So now what he'll do, he is calling me since 2 days. I'm not doing it because I do not have the time to do it. So now when now he, rather than asking the escalation, rather than taking it, what he'll simply do is he'll create a review task, and I'll say, see, I do not have the time for next 2 days. I'll pick it up on first, and I'll close it on second. So he has a clear idea of when it would be picked and when it would be closed. So this is the use of Jira. So we'll move to the this user flow. So okay, so Draw.io, it is again an open source application, very easy to use. Again, a drag and drop model works at it, like the Balsamic. Like in a Balsamic, you can simply drag and drop. So similarly, here also you can simply drag and drop. So now, very first thing, what is the use of this tool? So the use of this tool is to create a user journey, like. Let me take an example of a mutual fund. So the very first step would be the entry point, from where the user is going to enter into the mutual funds. Then second, I'll have to show the user key what this particular mutual fund is all about, what are the benefits, is there any exit road or not, and blah blah information. Then a user can select the quantity that he is looking for. Suppose I want to buy the 10 mutual funds. Suppose I want to buy the 15 mutual funds. So he can enter the quantity. Then the payment part. So this is an entire journey. After the payment part, I'll have to show him the thank you page. Or suppose the payment is unsuccessful, then I have to redirect him again. So this is an entire journey. So this journey is made on the draw.io. It is basically used to create a journey. It will start with a start. Then according to the next step, it would go on. Then there are different shapes. So one is the yes no phase. Like when I in the last example that I have given, an key is payment successful or not. So there are two possible scenarios, whether the payment is successful or whether the payment is not successful. So there are two possible scenarios over here. So here I use a diamond. So user proceeds to the next step. This is a simply user has to perform an action, or different type of shape would be used. Now coming to why the different types of shapes are being used. So why different shapes are being used, so that the person who is reading the flow has a clear idea of what it is going to look like what the flow would be, or how the flow is going to perform, like what is expected, what user actions are expected in the each screen, like the yes or no. So here you have to create a technicality where your system can act in both the cases, like jahan par where the payment has been successful, then a different flow would start, and where the payment has failed, a different flow would start. So you have to make this clear to the technical team, key of this is going to happen. So SQL. How many of you know SQL? Have you studied it? I would like each one of you to put it in the chat whether they have used SQL or not in the past. Okay, Vaibhavi has used, good. Rajesh has used, good. Okay, Muthuvel has also used, excellent. So I have not used it, but I okay. I have used it, but obviously it is primarily very important for a data person because he'll be all day working on the SQL. But as a product management manager, also it's very important. So, uh, why now? What is the use of the SQL? The SQL is used to pull out the data. Key, as you all know, why do we create the feature to we create the feature in order to see how the feature is performing. I'm very happy to see actually that gave me a smile. Many of the people know how to use the SQL. So it is used to pull out the data. So how the data is pulled? It is pulled out in the form of the tables. You'll write a code, not a code. In SQL we call it a query. You'll write a query and the data would come out in the form of the tables. Now what you can do it. Suppose I want to know my entire mutual fund and insurance business total कैसा कर रहा है, because under me I have two domains, one is the mutual funds and one is the insurance. But what SQL does is, but where my data is being stored, I just have an information about insurance and mutual fund differently. So here I have to put it a submission task. कि जहाँ पर I have to write a query, I have to write a code where I can add both of this. Obviously, this is not a job of a product manager, but what is the job of the product manager is to check the code if the data team has written correctly or not, whether the data team is doing correctly or not. This is the job of a product manager. So here you can also use you can visualize the data, like you can see how the data is performing, not sorry how the data looks like in the form of the graphs. You can also, one of the very good advantages of SQL is that you can connect it with the various other tools to visualize it. मतलब SQL में the data comes is in the form of tables, so which is very not so readable. But when it comes in the form of graphs, say bar graph or pie chart, it's very easy to read. Or you know your numbers exactly, you know your metrics exactly. So the one of the very good use case of SQL is that you can use it with various other tools as well. So now coming to part the most difficult task of a product management. So someone was asking me, how do a non-engineer get into the product management? So there are no technical skills required. I was an MBA, I was a civil engineer, I was a fresher when I joined the product management. I know a person, I can correct you also, she has done MA, like Master of Arts, and she has a specialization in the literature. I know a finance guy who was earlier in the data, now he moved to the product role. So there are no technical skill, but the mindset. If you can place your customers' funds, then you are a product guy. Like, so, okay. Okay, so I'll start with the. So, what is the most difficult task? To ensure that feature works exactly the way it is supposed to work. It sounds very simple कि भाई क्या है, but what you have to just make the feature, but it's really very complicated. So the very first thing, you have to understand the feature correctly. You have to understand the correctly what the customer is looking for. If you are not able to understand correctly, how will you explain to someone else कि whether the feature is working, what is the requirement? So pehle, the very first thing is to understand your user. Like the mutual funds usually are purchased by the people who have a good income levels, who have some extra money, who have um, who have who know about mutual fund, who have the financial literacy. So firstly, addressing the understanding your users is very important. Then secondly, what are their pain points, what are they looking for, or what do they want to achieve? So then you have to see how the feature would look like. Then you have to articulate. पहले आपको firstly you have to understand the design team कि भाई this is what we want to make, this is how it should look like. Then you have to make it understand to the data time कि this is the feature, this is what you have to track. Then you have to understand on the front end guy कि this is what we are looking for. Then you have to understand it to the back end guy कि this is what it is. So there are multiple such rounds and you have to take the multiple round of affirmation कि भाई आपको समझ आया या नहीं, have you understood it not. So and if there are any, so you should be approachable, like you should be approachable enough, like you have to never a technical guy would come and tell you कि भाई मुझे नहीं समझ में आया, I am not clear about it, I cannot understand that, I am not clear. So how it is, then address the concerns. So even it may be a small, even maybe it be as a small कि भाई this is ये button, where will this CTA lead to, where we does the CTA lead me to. You have to address each of the concerns because it really messes up everything. If you cannot address the concerns, then your entire whatever you have worked on for say 2 months, 3 months can go a waste for a small simple concern. Um, then you have to thoroughly think through all the use cases. Like there are many possibilities. Suppose for mutual fund, Aadhaar card is a mandatory document. Okay? So what if a user doesn't have an Aadhaar card? The OTP comes on the mobile number. What if my mobile number is changed? What if the mobile number doesn't exist? Then how will we handle that? So you have to clearly understand all such cases. So this is the most difficult task of a product management. So now comes the most weighted slide, how to pave your way to the product management. So how many of you want to get into the product management? Please put it in the comments, like so that I have an idea. Your time start now, and you exactly have 1 minute to put it. Rajesh, do you want to get into the product management? Nishant, किसी को product management में नहीं जाना? Should I skip this slide? Vaibhavi, obviously. So, पहली बात, where product management is really a very good field. You get to learn a lot. There is a lot of money. There is obviously a lot of money. Like, frankly speaking, product guys are paid far more than other people. I should not say this, but I got like my salary almost become twice in just 2 years. So I should not say this because that should not be a metric for deciding that. But but obviously money matters. Like you work from day to night, so money is one of the very important factors. So matlab, I know what my peers are earning, and I can surely say कि product में they give you a good money. The second thing is okay, social sector. What does social sector mean? Like what is the social sector? Prakhar, you could elaborate a little about your query. And secondly, I work in a free charge. So okay, so like I think social developments, everything is going digital. Like everything, हर चीज के लिए ऐप बन रही है. Like whether it be raising your concerns, whether it be raising your doubts, whether it be anything. So wherever there is a app, there is a requirement of the product guy. Because वो app के लिए कौन सोचेगा? The product guy would be thinking. So like a social development, so there will be various. Okay, I'll address this query. The very first, let me address this slide. So in order to enter the, so very first thing, decide your area of interest. So be it commerce, like when I say commerce, I mean e-commerce. Be it Flipkart, Amazon, then it be a fintech. Like I work in a FreeCharge, it's a fintech company. I used to work in a Fizda, it was a fintech company. So when I was looking to change a job from Fisdom to FreeCharge, I never got a call from non-fintech companies because your domain knowledge matters a lot. Where do you want to get it? Like I have a good knowledge about fintech, but if I now switch to e-commerce, I'll have to take that knowledge right from the starting. So that is one of the things that you should decide your domains. Then the top three aspirational companies in that server. So mm, like when I talk about e-commerce, you can choose Flipkart, you can choose Amazon, and then you should try connecting to the flows. You should try reaching out to the people, and like suppose here we met on a seminar. Now I may find that Ramya is a good person. Like I may think she has asked a good queries, Reshu is a good person, I'll always remember. Then when I am hiring, I know ki Ramya wants to get into the product and she's good. Like no one wants a technical skill. When the person who hired me now, he just looked for my mindset. I was a fresher when he hired me, so I was a fresher. So that is one thing. Then you can talk to them, you can build your personal connections. You can be a part of the same social groups, you can join the various product platforms. Then you have to review the products. This is very important. This worked very well for me. I had another opportunity in the product domain, apart from feature, and this was how I got into it. For that particular company, I picked their product. One of the product, I studied it well, and when I was interviewing, I told them this is the fault in your product. Yeah, as on achieve from the customer perspective, and he was shocked. He, uh, this is what we are looking for. If you can recognize the problems, we want you. So this is the one thing. Then Mm, so, how to review a product is basically you have to write what you're not liking as a customer. Like what you're not liking as a customer is simply what you're looking for. So, when I was looking for a job switch, I have almost messaged 100 people. 100 में से at least 3 or 4 reply, and that's how I got the offer letter. So hire the, and it has to be a very personalized message. Don't write ki I want to get into a product and all. Why do you want to get into the product? What are your skills that align with the product? What are the various things that they are looking for you and you have, or what you can build upon? Like suppose a company is looking for SQL, then learn SQL. Write it in the message you are sending that you know SQL. See, if you are if you are a fresher, or you are a third or fourth year student, or if you are an MBA first year student, getting an internship is very easy. I'll tell you why. Very simple reason: you have to pay less to an intern and more to a full time employee. So that is one thing. So ask for an internship and do very well over there, and join a full time. So fifth definitely works. Here the fifth point definitely works because it worked for me. I know people for whom internships have worked. Then reviewing the product, definitely the fourth point especially works when when you have an interview scheduled. So these are the various ways in which you can enter a product. So now I'll stop sharing and I'll say something. Irrespective of your background, irrespective of your knowledge, irrespective of your domain, you can enter into a product. There are no technical skills required as such. You can learn SQL, you can learn Valsmith, but it's the mindset that is being required. So that's all from my side. Now the platform is open to ask any queries. So you can put it in the chat and probably I can take it one by one. So I have answered the question how to get into a product management. There are various open source applications that are available. Is there any specific queries? You can unmute yourself. Like, Vandana, do you have any questions? Diksha, do you have any questions? Soham, do you have any questions? Aryan, Ramya, Amit, Ayush, Reshu, Vaibhavi. Uh, okay, so the way. Okay, the very first question that is being asked is what comes the first, a user story or a wireframe? a user story. So user story is basically you are addressing what you're addressing, what what are your customers or what are they looking for. Till the time it is not clear what your customer is looking for, you cannot make a wireframe, because making a wireframe you have to be very clear about what your users are looking for. So the second question asks, I hope it clears your doubt, Vapavi. User story comes the first, and the reason why it comes is because it defines it because you have to be clear about who your target audience is. Okay, the next question is it possible to get into after doing BE EMTC? Yes, it is possible too. Many engineers are there in my organization, were there in my previous organization. So Aryan, yes, it is totally possible. I know some of the internship. I know people who are looking for interns, who are looking for freshers. So probably I'll give you my email ID. You can send me your resume and I'll forward it. It would be helpful for you. The next question would be um, okay, Ramya is asking what level of SQL one needs to go, beginner, immediate, or advanced. Not advanced, because that is the job of a data team to do so. I would say beginner or intermediate. If I rate myself, I know an intermediate level of SQL. This is because now I have over 2.5 years of product experience. So that is the thing. So someone asked me what is the relationship between quality control and product management. So here I am assuming that when you say quality control, it basically means the quality control of your app. So this is obviously one of the key areas that a product guy looks into. A product guy looks into whether his app is performing well or not. So here in free charge we have every month we have a 2 3 days of session, or not where we just see if our app is doing well or not. We do not work on any new features, we do not work on our backlogs, we just see how our app is working fine. So that is basically a quality control. We do it as a product guy in terms of the product management. Mm, mm. No, Ramya, skill is not a prerequisite. I joined as a fresher, but it was I learned it over the time. Firstly, I had an interest in SQL, and secondly, it was my demand of the job because I was interested on the data side. But definitely, it's not at all a prerequisite. Okay, yeah. So someone has asked me what is the product strategy and the product roadmap. Okay, so product strategy means I'll tell you. Suppose I'm a product manager. So how do I look at my app 1 year from now? Key what all features should be there, and what I should do in order to get these features. So suppose I have 6 domains under me. I have a 6 7 domains under me, and I want one domain. I want a lot of features in one domain. Then I want other domains because that is not a demand. So I was talking about the credit. So credit is the demand. Suppose today, then that is my strategy to launch the credit. So the very first thing is whatever is the requirement of the business will be the requirement of the product. This is for sure. So the product strategy is in very sync with the business strategy. Whatever business wants to do, product will work accordingly for that. So this is one thing. So then the second thing is the product roadmap. What features I want to bring, which features I want to replace, which domains I want to work on, everything would work in the product roadmap. Product roadmap has also one important thing is the timelines. It's not about what all I want to do, but when do I want to do it. So yeah, so sector specific knowledge for a successful product management is another question that is being asked. Obviously that is important, but knowledge you can obviously gain over the time. But in order to become a successful product manager, the very key base is to identify your customer pain points, like what my customer is looking for, and if I can solve or not. So okay, okay, I guess we have a shortage of time, so I like to Okay, be a part of the solution space. So we are already part of the solution space. We are already providing the solutions to the problem. So we are already a part of the solution space. Yes, we are a part of the solution space. So, so I'm sure. Uh, just one. Sakshi, can you confirm one thing? Am I allowed to share my email address?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, so I'm sharing my email address. For any queries, for any feedback, for any suggestion, whether you like to talk or whether any queries related to product management, I'll be happy to address that. So you can personally reach out to me on my email address. You can send me a request on the LinkedIn. We can connect it over there. So yeah, so that's all from my side. Thank you, each one of you, for attending the session. I hope you have gained some really good insights about it. You have a clear idea about what the product management is and what is its role, what are the specific domains. Thank you, each one of you.
Thank you, ma'am, for conducting this wonderful session. It was really insightful for us, and thank you, everyone, for attending the session and being such a great audience.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I wish to connect to all of you on my email ID and on the LinkedIn. Whoever wants to, I'll share the slides with Sakshi and she can probably forward you to all.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah.